So I hope you can able to see my screen. Can anyone confirm that? Okay, great. One second. Okay, done. Okay, fine. So today, as we mentioned, so today we are going to be covering like one is like as I mentioned tuple, and the second one is set. So this is what we are planning to cover today. Okay. So if any doubts, please ask me so that you may easily understand the concepts also. Fine. So now coming to the tuple, okay. So as I mentioned already, so the tuple can be represented as open closed brackets, okay, or as we know, the constructor will be tuple itself. But basically, tuple, as I mentioned clearly, it is immutable object. So that means whatever the data we have in the tuple, it cannot be modifiable. That means you cannot add the new data, you cannot delete that, or you cannot replace the data. So we can't do any kind of operations on the tuple. Just to iterate or to print something on the console, we can use the tuple. So basically, then what is the use of the tuples are under to make it constant data. Like whenever you want to define some set of values, but you want to make it constant. That means you don't want to allow someone to modify the data what we have in the list or collection. So then we have to go for an option called tuple basically. Okay. So tuple mostly used for, as I mentioned, right, like some constant. I mean that to declare some constant list. Like example, if you consider months, so months won't be changed, right? It will be always January to December. The 12 months will be fixed for at any time. So that kind of notations are weekdays, I can say that. So these kind of what we can say that requirements we generally use the tuple, and also sometimes in our projects also wherever you require some data or some options. If you go for drop down, assume that. So you want to show some four options in the drop down, and you want to define as a collection. Then you can go for tuple option. So the what I'm trying to explain, the tuple can be used to define the constant data, and the data cannot be modifiable. So once you create the tuple, the only option you have, you can delete permanently the entire tuple. But other than that, you can't do any operations on the tuple. Okay. So how to define surrender, as I mentioned, right? So you can define open bracket and some data. Let's take example 1, 10, 20, 30. Let's take 40. And tuple can be also accept duplicates also. Okay. And so whatever the data we have in the tuple cannot be modifiable, as I mentioned. Like what I'm trying to explain, you cannot delete the data, or you cannot means to say add, extend, or append the data. So just you can display the data maybe for like xint, I mean the tuple, and you can use the print t. So this is the one option you can do for the tuple. And the other option, as we know already, like we can delete entire tuple. So to delete the entire tuple, we can use the del keyword. So del t. But partially, like for example, del t of 1, we cannot perform. So del of t you can perform. That means entire tuple can be deleted and a new tuple can be created. But you cannot do alter or modify the existing tuple. And also, like it also supports a basic functional feature. I mean that methods like as I mentioned yesterday, right? Like len, min, max, that also will be worked on the tuple. These functions will be worked on tuple. Okay. And the next point also, like here in the tuple is whatever the tuple created or mentioned, it also internally storing in the form of indices only. So whatever the data you want to retrieve, you can retrieve by index also. Okay. By using index also, you can retrieve the data in the tuple basically. So basically, one word I can say that a tuple is a immutable object. So which can the data whatever we have, that can be not be modifiable, and the tuple can be created and can be used without alteration or without modifications in the application. So if you want to modify something, definitely you have to typecast or convert the tuple into a list, and you can do some operations whatever you want. Okay, so that is the basic concept of tuple. So as I mentioned, that doesn't take much time. So it's a simple topic, simple storage, okay, where we can store some data fixed. Okay, so now we'll go to some exam. I mean that same notations how we will do in the like coding wise. We'll go for one demo on that. Okay, so tuple demo I will take it. So I'm taking one example on the tuple. Okay, so here if you consider, if you observe here, so I'm defining tuple tup equal to, let's take, I'm defining some values here. And also one more point, tuple also can be collection of different types also, like it's not mandatory that always the same data only, like yeah, as like collection you can store, it's a common behavior, so you can store different types also. Likewise, collection of strings, float or numbers, you can do all together as a one output. So that same as a list, it is also can be stored same type or different type also. Okay, 40 50 I'm taking. Okay, so now if I want to print, as I mentioned, right, so you can write for x in tuple and now print x. So now the x will be printed over here. Okay, so now whatever the values we given, see the data is printed. Okay, so now if I'm just simply, you can write tuple dot. So see, you will find a very limited methods, like example count, index, and contains. That's the only methods we have. Other than that, like as we shown yesterday, like append, pop, delete, clear, these are all methods nothing is available. Okay, so only methods available are is like here. If you see, it also allows duplicates, right, as I mentioned. So one is as list, as like list I can say. So tuple dot count. So same count will use it to print the number of occurrences of the given value. It's not something new. It is the same as list only. And again tuple dot index. So index also will tell you where the first occurrence of the given value. Okay. And similarly print. So whatever the number of elements, how many are there you want to know, then we can use same way length of tuple, or you can use min or max or sum. So just I'm using sum, the remaining also you can try like this only. Okay, so these are the different options which we can use in the tuple. See that 160 is the sum, 6 is the length, and index of the 10 is first index 0, and count of 10 two times it is there, to the other values whatever it shows. Okay, so likewise whatever I'm telling, right, so it's a simple straightforward as like collection. The only difference, on the list you can perform the operations, on the tuple you cannot perform the operations. So that means a list is a mutable object, tuple is a immutable object. Other than that, all other features is quite similar to both list and tuple. Only that is the only difference we have in the list and tuple. So if somebody asks you what is the difference between list and tuple, you have to tell majorly this one. Okay, and but performance wise, obviously constant data, right, tuple is more better than list. So that's what I'm telling. If you want to retrieval only, if you have a requirement of only storing and retrieval, then better to go for tuple rather than list. But if you want to do some operations on the collection, go for list rather than tuple. That is the conclusion what we can do, list versus tuple. Okay, so any doubts as of now, please ask me. Okay, so for tuple, I will give you one simple example to make it how we will use in the operation wise. I'm telling. So let's take I'm writing a program to find the weekday. Okay, so let's take if I'm giving the date to the system, it has to give the let's take example the day of the date. Let's take example to if I'm giving today's date, it has to print the today's it is Wednesday, right? It has to show the Wednesday. Likewise, if I'm giving the date to the system, it has to give the weekday of the date. So for that, what we have to do first, we have to define the tuple. Okay, that is weekdays first. So as I mentioned, right, because weekdays will be constant, it cannot be modified. That means we have 7 weekdays. That's it. It couldn't be more than that. It couldn't be less than that. So there is no need of giving the option to modify the weekdays. So that's what I'm targeting as a tuple. Okay. So likewise, we have totally what do you call it, 7 weekdays, right? So that 7 weekdays we can write one by one as part of this particular what you can say that tuple. Okay. So first one I'm taking Monday, and the second one I'm taking as a Tuesday, and the third one Wednesday, and the next one Thursday, the next one Friday, the next one Saturday, and the last one Sunday. So these are the 7 days which I stored as part of the tuple. Now I'm going for taking the, I mean to say, finding the weekday of the given date. Okay. So for that, let's take, I'm taking a date time module to take the help of that. So import date time. Okay. So this date time will help us to create a date object. Okay. For given year and month and day. Let's take, I'm considering a year comma month comma day. I'm taking as a values. Let's take whatever the inputs we want to give, I'm taking. So 24, let's take 24, and month 5, and day is 29th to test it today whether it's getting correct or not. Okay, so now to make, see, these are individual 3 integers. Now year is an integer, month is an integer, day is an integer, that means numbers. Now we want to convert them as a one date. So because that all three together as a giving date, right? So that I'm writing date object is equal to, so to convert that as a date object, we have a date function in the datetime module that I'm using. So this date function will take the 3 arguments, that is one is year, another one month, and another one obviously day. So these are 3 arguments which we, if you pass into this particular date function, it will return the date object. Now this date obj is a date, it's not a number now. So now in the third line number 3 also we have the same values. In line number 4 also we have the same values, but only the difference type. In line number 3 it will just an integers, but in line number 4 it is a date object. Now this date object will give you the weekday. We have an option called weekday, but the weekday we don't require. Weekday means it will give the number like 1, 2, 3 like that. Example I'm giving, see, print date object dot weekday. See that. So this weekday, I'm just printing the output. You will get numbers from 0 to 6 basically. Okay. So likewise, the numbers are coming. But now we want to get the weekday. So now this, in whatever the number we are getting, we are passing as index to the tuple what we created. Okay. So weekdays of the tuple. So that means now what happened, date object weekday will give you the number, and the number will as input to the weekdays. Now finally this weekdays will return the value which is at the value tuple object not callable. What happened? Oh, sorry, it's at index, right? Index always should be square bracket, it's not like curly bracket. Yeah, now you see we got the Wednesday. So today Wednesday, right? So we got the Wednesday. Likewise, you can try any of the date or date of birth or anything, you can try that. So let's take, I'm giving 1990, my date of birth I'm giving. So July 10. Yeah, so if I'm running, it will give the, I think, Tuesday. See, that's Tuesday. Okay. So likewise, you can try any date that will give the date of, I mean the day of the date which we given as an input to this particular call. Now here, why I taken only tuple. See, in this, if I'm changing this to as a list, there's no issue or no problem in the output. You will get same output only. Now you see. But only difference, because if you make it as a list, the problem here is in the code itself, someone trying to change the values, at yes, they can change. but as per the definition of the weekdays, we can't change it. It's a fixed data. So that's what I'm defining as a tuple. So tuple is not replacement of the list all the time. Only it is another option to store the data in a immutable notation. That is the only I can say that. Okay. So this is one of the simplest example for tuple demonstration. So if you have still doubts or still questions, please ask me. Otherwise, I will move to the set concept, because tuple, as I mentioned, right, nothing to know more things. So very simple, straightforward concept. This is enough to understand. But if you still have the doubt, ask me. I will explain. Otherwise, I will go to the concept called set. Can anyone confirm? Is that everything clear or any doubts? Okay. So I'm considering as a no doubts as of now. So we can go with set. And before going to the set concept, I forgot to tell you yesterday, one of the method of the list is contains. Okay, there is a method called contains, so which will help us to check whether the value is there or not. Like example, if li dot underscore underscore, we have a method called contains. So this method will help us to search the value, like we can say linear search. So for example, if I'm giving 10 in this value, so obviously it returns true, right? So print, sorry, so print it's there. Okay, let's take, I'm writing else print it's not there. So now you see I'm running this program. So you will see the see it's there, it's coming because 10 is there in the list, right? That's what it's getting, it's there. But if I'm giving something like the value which is not there, it is giving not. So whenever you want to set some value in the list, two options you can use. One option is, as we discussed yesterday, count. So if the count of the given value is 0, it indicates that the value is not there in the list. If more than 0, it is there. Similarly, contains also used to search the value only, whether value is there in the list or not, you can able to search. And also the last option we have in operator also. So in operator also you can use to search whether the value is there or not. Like same example, we can use in operator, because if you remember the initial test I told you, in operator basically used to check the whether the value in the list or not. Like same line you can change. Let's take 100 in li. Simple. So now this also will give the same output. See that it's not there. Now if I'm changing to here 10 and here 10, so both are showing it's there. See that? Yeah, see that? Okay. So search option you can achieve in three ways totally. Now in operator you can use, contains you can use, and also we can use count function to validate the same search operation. So these are the different approaches we can search the data in the Python collections. Okay. So just to iterate, I forgot to tell you for how to do the search. That's what I am covering. And now we come back to the set operation. Yeah, because before going to the set, again I'm stopping 1 minute of time. So please ask me if you have any doubts. Yeah, I'm hearing nothing, so I'm considered as a none. So I'm going with set operations. So now the next collection we have is set. Okay. So the basic idea is, again, it is also a collection of values. There is no doubt at all. So it is also a collection of values which might be same type or different type. Also, there is again, as I mentioned, right, it's a common point for every collection. So every collection supports same data type or different data type. There is no rule that it contains only same type. Okay. So that's the major difference between arrays and collections basically here. Okay. 1 second. Yeah, hi all. Sorry, like SETA will continue tomorrow. Okay. I had another call now. Just now I got the call. Okay. So sorry. Tomorrow will continue the remaining part. Okay. SETA and dictionary will continue tomorrow. Yeah. So any doubts before winding up the class? Hello.